everybody. Welcome back to the Rooted Home podcast. We're glad you're here with us. Today, we wanted to take some time and talk about things along the lines of family priorities, how you know when to let things go, take steps back, how you evaluate those things in wisdom. We've had to do a lot of that recently. And so
Mhm.
we felt like it's just a very apt time that while we're in the midst of having to do that, we
Talk about it.
talk about it together, me and Lauren, let you guys kind of listen in to us talking about it some.
Yes, we're definitely right in the middle of it. It's not the first time we've done it though, so it's not like we're newbies at it, but it's just another layer of depth, I would say, and
Yeah,
learning. So,
for sure.
mm,
So, oh man, there's many places we could begin when talking about this, but I think that, for our family, and we hope that this is helpful for your family, is Lauren and I talk a lot about our priorities as a family. We talk about things like the Lord and how we prioritize honoring the Lord in our home and discipling our children, having our own time with the Lord, abiding in Christ as we want to do, because he who abides in Christ bears much fruit. So we start there and then talk about family, friends, church. There's certain priorities that we have that we're pretty clear on
mhm.
with each other. So me and her, we're on the same page a lot. I'm kind of talking to the audience, but I guess I should just talk to you. Like me and you were on the same page a lot because we talk a lot about what's important to us,
Yeah,
what our priorities are, and we look to the word for that whenever, if maybe we're not on the same page or we don't have exactly the same thoughts about something, we look to what the wisdom of God says about those things to try and come closer together in our thoughts. Or we might talk to friends who are a little bit further ahead of us in life
I
and
feel
get
like
their
you.
input.
Yeah, and I feel like usually when it gets to this conversation, we're both very much like, okay, we need to recalibrate, and we're
Yeah.
both very much on the same page when it comes to that. So we've hit a moment like that recently with a lot going on in our family.
Yeah. I mean, we can just briefly say we've had some deaths in the family, and
Yeah,
that, sobers you up, and sometimes you need to recalibrate and um,
yeah, it's.
be around for family, be present for things.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. When
Yeah.
life throws you a curveball, priorities can change. Or not, priorities don't change, but you have to reemphasize some things
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, and I think for me, I've learned to I've learned to be more consistent over the years. But I think this is all um helps me see that even though I'm being consistent, I think this sudden and tragic loss where we had to just stop and drop everything and got hit between the eyes with grief and um wanting to serve our family and figure I don't know. There's so much there, but it caused me to step back and be like, "Okay, I can be consistent." But the way that things are set up is I don't my bandwidth is at capacity.
You don't have any margin.
I don't have margin, and I talk about having margin all the time. I teach it. And so I was just telling Jeremy or us, we were talking about, like, I need to create some margin lest I too be disqualified if I'm teaching on margin, which I think there's a season there are times where there's when you have something new like this YouTube and the course and things that we've been building for the last year, sometimes you reach your max bandwidth, and as long as things are not falling through the cracks and you're able to keep your priorities in line, that's great. But I think that we just hit another level of, okay, yeah, but that's not sustainable. Even though we've prioritized our marriage and our family and we've had to recalibrate a couple times, we need to scale back.
Yeah.
So,
There are times in life where, you're sprinting a little bit more and you can be doing things at a pace that's maybe unsustainable, but it's good to be on the same page with your
yeah.
spouse that that's the case, that we're doing this right now because we're really trying to get something done. Like you're moving houses or you're renovating a kitchen or you're starting a business endeavor. There's things where there's like you can agree that there's a period of time here that we're going really hard and we're pretty tired and exhausted, and maybe we're spending more time on different things that aren't our biggest priorities, but we're getting this done, and as soon as we're done, we're returning to what the normal rhythms of our life and our family's life need to be.
Mhm.
And
But we adapt too.
you have to be flexible, and it's a wisdom discussion. It's always
Yeah.
a wisdom discussion. You're always growing in wisdom and applying what you know and what you've learned. And your family's always growing, and you're growing in your understanding of your spouse and your children as to what they need and their needs are. So there should never be a locked in system, because especially when a really big curveball hits out of nowhere, you have to be able to roll with the punches a little bit and not just say, "Oh, sorry, life, I need to ignore that tragedy right now." Like, that's not a thing you can do.
No, and it's not something I don't think anybody would really want to do.
No.
I know for certain, I'm like, "Bye, YouTube. Bye,
Mhm.
my family is this all this other stuff." I We are very we want to be a blessing to all of you, but our family comes first, and
Yeah.
so we drop in anything and everything to tend to the emergent and the urgent need. But yeah. Anyway, so
So I think that's a good place to go back into, maybe hone in the discussion about priorities and how you and I discuss priorities often,
mhm,
because we know that some of these endeavors are wonderful
mhm, they're good.
and also less significant than other things, because we have a hierarchy of priorities in our world, and family is very high on that list of priorities.
Mhm,
So when it comes to something very big has happened with family, it allows us to very easily say, "No, I may love this endeavor that I'm doing, but it's also very easy to let go."
mhm,
And being willing to hold those things in the open hand, um, to where you're not, clinging to them,
mhm,
as more important than the higher priorities. And not only to have as a family and have as your spouses especially talk about what your priorities are as a family. I mean, those things orient your life day to
mhm.
day, what you spend time doing as a family, where you choose to live, um, what church you choose to go to. I mean, your priorities should be talked about and
Mhm.
discussed, because you don't want to be just living a life that's reactive and floating, and oh, we'll go towards this over here. Oh, this is kind of cool over here. Like, you want to be
You wanna
intentional,
be anchored.
and anchor is a good word. You want to be pointed towards the things that you and your spouse truly believe are the important things in life.
Mhm,
And that not only gives your life direction, but it helps you and your spouse be on the same page for when something needs to drop off, when something needs to be removed for a little while. You need to focus on family needs. Maybe there's something going on in one of your children's lives that is requiring more attention than normal, and things should drop off if need be to take care of your family, take care of your children.
mhm,
There's lots of these things you can have, but having these discussions in advance with your spouse and having it be something. I mean, me and you, like, I would say we even enjoy that. We enjoy, like,
mhm,
dreaming about what the Lord has for us, talking about what we're excited about in life. Like, these are discussions we enjoy having
mhm.
together, and that's a blessing. But I
It
think
is.
that's something that's good for spouses to aspire to, if it's not something that's currently there.
Yeah, I don't even remember where we started learning about those different categories. Well, right now, the way I teach it is we've got the spheres of fruitfulness, is what I call it. But you and I have always talked about it in terms of categories and um, our priorities. And so I think if this is not a discussion that you've had with your spouse, what has helped us, and I think which is common among a lot of other um, people who are talking about productivity and goals. And Reagan Rose talks about this with his, how does he phrase it? domains of stewardship. Like,
Mhm.
they're basically categories that help you think through what are the things that God has put in your life and called you to steward.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I have something in my eye. And so I think just having those categories and getting on the same page and talking through what is your vision for your family and your marriage? What's your vision for your children? What's your like how do you want your all the different categories you mentioned, the health, the home, work, finances. There are different categories that you could use, but talking through what your vision is helps you understand how to prioritize your time and how, like, because it can be very easy, I think, especially in this day and age where everything's so loud and urgent. It can be really easy to get sidetracked by what's loud or what's
Mhm. What's
distracting,
urgent?
what's urgent. And so we like to take some time occasionally, whether something really hard happens or we're feeling extra like life is a little extra full. We just feel the need to recalibrate, or you don't even have to wait till that point. You can do it monthly or quarterly or whatever. Just have a time where you're like, okay, how are we doing on these things? We say this is important to us. Is this reflected in our day? Is this reflected in our
Mhm.
week? Are we going on dates? Are we connecting the things that you have identified as important for your family? Like having those categories and actually talking through them and thinking through them. Um, it's enjoyable. Yeah, like you said.
It's
And it's
enjoyable.
reorienting whenever things
It's
get off kilter.
reorienting. It keeps you from being a slave to whatever's urgent and loud in front of you.
Mhm.
And it also gives you the categories to keep each other accountable because
Mhm.
you've already talked about these things. It's far easier for me to come to you and say, "Hey, babe, it feels like X is getting in the way of Y,"
Mhm.
even though we've both agreed Y is more important.
Mhm.
It's far easier to have those discussions than for me to see something Lauren may be misprioritizing. But we've never talked about that.
Mhm. It's just more
Like,
vague
it's
if you
just
don't
it's
talk about
vague, you
yeah.
don't so if I were to come to her and be like, "Hey, babe, isn't this thing over here more important to you?" Like, it's almost like you're starting at ground zero
Mhm.
with that conversation as opposed to already being on the same page and then just if something is seeming to get further out of whack and out of joint, it's like, "Hey,
Mhm.
let's talk about this for a minute.
Mhm.
These are what we want to be about as a family, and we don't want to get these out of alignment." Those
Mhm.
conversations are so much easier.
Oh, and it's been so helpful too. I've heard of women, um, going too far with certain things or letting it get to the point of them ending up really sick or burnt out or burning something to the ground or, like, doing things that in hindsight, they're like, "Man, that was I did not prioritize my family the way I should have here." And we all have things that we wish we could have done better, but I think talking through this and thinking through it like, prayerfully, biblically together, it can help prevent some of that regret,
Mhm.
I think, too.
You
Like
talk about it on the front end.
yeah,
Yeah.
so anyway.
So something that Doug Wilson says I've been thinking applies here as well is he talks about when you're raising children, your goal isn't to make them obey the standard. Your goal is to make them love the standard.
Mhm,
Your goal is to make them love the things that God loves and the standards that God has put down. And it's similar with the priorities that we have. The goal isn't to just see the priorities in God's word that he lays out there. Our goal is to love them.
mhm,
And that makes life so much more joyful and it makes a lot of these decisions a lot easier.
mhm.
And I'll give you a practical example. So I love playing soccer. Like
You're
before
good
we
at
were
it.
married, I would play soccer 2, even 3 times a week, depending on what my schedule allowed and what was going on week to week. But I would I still love doing that? Absolutely. But the thought of actually doing that grosses me out because not only is time with my family objectively a bigger priority, subjectively, like I love my family, and the thought of spending that many hours on a hobby away from my family is just a horrible, like, it grosses me out to think
Mhm,
about doing something like that.
mhm,
So these aren't supposed to be just wooden categories, of like, oh, these are what I'm supposed to love the most. Like, no, or what my prayers are supposed to be. Like, they should also be genuinely what you love the most and care the most about, and that
Mhm.
your heart is most inclined towards. And that's maybe for some of the things the scriptures highlight as a priority, maybe that's going to be a sanctifying process over time for you to love them more than you currently do. But that's what this is not supposed to be just rigid. This is rigid accountability to keep me in line to make sure I don't mess up. These are the things that are, you know,
Paths to joy.
paths to joy. These are the paths of life. These are the blessings God has given you to steward in your life. And yeah, love them. Don't just, whatever your and your spouse's priorities are, like, let your hearts be there,
Mhm.
as well.
Mhm. Yeah, 2 things to that. First of all, he is really good at soccer, and we do try to let
For a
him
39-year-old,
you're great, babe. You hang with the young kids
sometimes.
sometimes. Anyway, and the older guys. But, I mean, he scored 3 goals
It was a
yesterday.
pickup game
I know, but you scored 3 and the other team only scored 1. I'm gonna brag on you
at the
about that.
time.
And the kids brag on you. Anyway, so we do want to make room for hobbies, and that is part of stewardship is in doing things you
Mhm.
enjoy. But I think your point is not spending all of that time, all of your extra free time doing this hobby versus and away from your family. But anyway, so all that to say, um, I think to your point, the point that you were making there is uh just to flesh it out from my side is sometimes the things that we ought to love, we don't naturally love the way we should because we might have been single for a really long time and we're used to doing it our own way and whatever. But we know we ought to love it. You and I both have grown in our love for our family over the years, and we've grown in our desire to be with our family and to want to um, embrace marriage and parenting and the things of the home. But that was something that uh, we've grown into, and so part of that has been prayer,
Mhm.
and part of that also has been prioritizing, just stepping out and doing it and embracing it because God says it's good, and then our hearts have grown in alignment with reality, and now we
Very much so,
love
yes.
it, and I trust and pray. I hope that we continue to grow in our love for our children and our love for each other, and I trust that will only continue. But
Yes.
as we choose to embrace it and not fight against it,
Right.
to go be ourselves or find ourselves or whatever the lie is that people,
Whatever the lie of the day is.
yeah.
So a good way to think about that analogy I like is eating healthy,
Mhm.
right? People don't eat healthy because it's hard, but once they start walking on the path, their appetites change
Mhm.
and they love this new way of living, and the old way of living, like, oh, I can't believe I used to eat
Grosses them
eat like that
yeah.
and live like that. It grosses them out. So the what's keeping you back from living the healthy life is because it's hard. But the thing you're doing right now is gross,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
It's sanctification and is the same way. Like, is it hard sometimes? Like, you're not inclined towards living a self-sacrificial life, laying your life down for your family, loving your other family members more than yourself. You're probably not inclined to that at first,
Mhm.
but once you start doing it and obey, you're going to find yourself like, how I cannot believe how selfish I was, and I hate the
Mhm.
fact that I used to be that selfish.
Mhm.
That's and that's glorious,
Mhm.
as you're doing that. So
I would say everybody's like that.
everybody's like that.
I
That's
don't
what
think
it's
I've
like.
ever met anybody that just was totally selfless, and I mean, except for Jesus, but I never anyway.
Yeah. So just to encourage you, take the
Yeah, I don't.
steps in the right direction, and
You're gonna get there.
you're gonna love the
Yeah.
path that you end up on.
Yeah.
So,
The Lord does that good work.
so I mean, I think just practically, our priorities tend to be start at the top with the Lord, from there, family, church, fellowship, vocation. After the Lord and family, I would say things can be a little less concrete as to the exact order that they fall in.
Yeah, I think you and I have actually talked about it where we've gone back and forth on hierarchy versus, different spheres that you steward.
Right. How you
'Cause
wanna describe it.
yeah,
We would
so
still put the Lord above all
yeah, or the
that,
foundation.
but then after that, family, vocational calling, church, body, uh, health, physical well-being,
Mhm.
um, those would be kind of the big 4 or 5, that we tend, and then there's always room for sliding other endeavors in there that you want to prioritize if you have the margin for
Yeah.
it, depending on what your life looks like, moment to moment or season to season,
Yeah, because
because
it
every season is
shifts.
different.
Yeah, especially in the lives of women who have postpartum and first trimester and little kids
Mhm.
versus bigger kids and stuff like that, so, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
an adjacent conversation I thought might be interesting to have is, how do you navigate when people outside of your family don't have the same priorities as you and don't respect them the way that they should, or try to persuade you that, I'm thinking especially of like close friends or family. You and your husband make a decision, hey, this is a priority for us going forward, and it means less gatherings with friends because we need more family time, or
Mhm.
less gatherings with family because we need more family time, or any decision that can cause friction with external parties,
Mhm.
because you and your spouse have prayerfully considered what your family needs. You're leading your husband's leading your family in what they need and caring for them, but prioritizing the most important things causes friction with other people, and they are not gracious about it.
Yep.
How do you want me to answer my own question,
No,
or do you
no,
want to
no,
start?
I have a couple thoughts. I
Okay.
think the first thought can be if they really love you, then they're going to respect. They're gonna show respect. But I
It
do.
will
Go ahead.
Sorry, I would just clarify, maybe it would, the loving thing
Mhm.
is for them to respect.
Right.
They may have an unloving reaction to it.
Yeah.
May not mean they don't love you, but they
Yeah.
may have an unloving
They might not
response
understand
to it. Yeah.
because they yeah, have their own perspective or whatever. Yeah. I think practically for those situations, especially, with people who want to spend time with you, I think that a very practical a solution to do is to be the one to initiate and to invite them in whenever it works for your family. Does that make sense? So, like,
Mhm.
so that you're not always the one, you're not always it doesn't always sound like you're saying no. You're you're the one initiating and inviting them in. And of course you could say yes too, but if they're feeling like you don't want to be around them or you're not wanting to prioritize them in the way that they want you to, I think that extending that kind of care or just showing that you do want to be around them whenever it works, that could be one way. And then giving a phone call or whatever, if it's, I don't know,
Mhm.
that's just one
Let
idea.
me let me zoom out even further
Okay.
as to be less concrete, so we can talk about it at a higher level. Even things like, maybe I was too specific. Things that don't even inherently cause friction with someone else necessarily, but things like, we've decided that we need to start homeschooling the kids
Hmm.
because of what our kids need.
Hmm.
And I'm going to stop working. I'm going to come back to the home. I'm going to stop working.
You are?
No, like,
Oh,
let's say the wife. Let's
oh,
say that
I was like, oh, okay.
the wife's going to stop pursuing her career
Mm,
and come home to homeschool the kids.
mhm.
And she gets all sorts of weird looks,
Yeah,
from her friends. So that's an example that it doesn't affect your friends at all, but they may
right.
have opinions about the subject, or other decision. We're gonna move our family
Mhm.
because we realize in this area of the country we don't have vibrant Christian fellowship, and we want our family to have that, and it's very important for our children to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
So we need to move,
Mhm.
and that means we're going to be leaving these friends behind, and that's hurting their feelings. Like, there's lots of things that we can decide is best for our family that can cause external friction,
Mhm.
heartache, all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
How should we think about that? do you think?
From a female perspective and from a woman who is married, I something that's been very freeing for me is leaning into you.
Mhm.
So I used to be more concerned with everyone else's opinions, and I still can be, but I don't let it move the needle in my heart as much as I used to. Like I don't take it into account. I don't give it as much weight as much as I used to. I used to do it in a way that was actually not helpful. Like I would go to, I've talked about this on an episode before of like, go talk to the ladies before I even talk to you about something that's important to our family, which makes no sense.
Mhm.
But it was very freeing for me to learn, oh, and it was actually very good for our marriage that I would look to you and ask you the questions and lean into you more. So I do think that it helps. It can still hurt and feel hard when you have people that you love who are not happy with you about your decisions. I mean,
Mhm.
no matter what, that is going to be hard. But are you walking in the fear of the Lord? That should give you great confidence and comfort. And then, two, as the woman, lean into your husband and let that be a resting place. That's been helpful for me
Mm,
personally.
that's good.
What about you, babe?
I would agree. And so, like husbands, this is your job as protector and leader. Like that should not be a weight that your wife has to carry. You should be the one who's on the forefront of taking responsibility for the decision. Obviously, you take counsel with your wife because your wife is a wise counselor, and you listen to her and you guys come to decisions, but then you take the responsibility for those decisions. And
Hmm.
she should not have to carry the weight of other people's disapproval. And how you deal with that may vary from season to season, but just some encouragement for the husbands is the way that I've thought about it before. I don't enjoy dealing with people's displeasure. I don't enjoy it at all. I'm not particularly strong at it. But one one thought that's very helpful to me is, am I really going to let someone else raise my children?
Hmm.
Because that's really what's happening. If I'm craven to the opinions of other people when I know my children and have, by God's grace, an idea of what's best for them and how I want to love them and bless them, and then I don't do that because of someone else's opinion, that just makes me mad to think about. So thinking of it that way prevents me from giving in to, or being prone to giving in to other families' opinions. And I'm not saying not listening to other families' wisdom. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm
Definitely not what you love.
just, when people are obstinate, have their own opinions, and they, for some reason, really want to make sure that you know what their opinion is, and you have to deal with that.
Like
Let it,
they're voicing their displeasure,
they're
not
voicing their displeasure,
yeah,
not trying to help you, not trying to bless you with
counsel.
counsel or wisdom, but are just annoyed for
Yeah.
or displeased for some reason. Let it be noise. Don't withhold blessing from your family because of what other people think. And then you do have to think through how to communicate with them wisely and diplomatically as best you can, as much as it depends upon you to live at peace with everyone. But also, those times can be very informative, as to, oh, there's some friction now. What does that what does that reveal about the character of other people and the character of the friendship that you have with them?
And of us and how we're responding to that friction.
And yeah, how we respond to the friction.
Mhm.
So it can be a good revealing time of your own weaknesses, but also um, it can be painfully helpful to have the character of some of your friendships revealed too. And
Mm.
sometimes friendships aren't the color you thought they were, and
Mhm.
hopefully that's not the case, but sometimes it is. And
Yeah.
so, and sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's like you make this decision for your family that you know is going to affect someone else, like you're going to move away, and someone just like, brother, I completely understand why that's your priority, and I'm going to miss you. But go with the Lord. Like they can also be equally positive. Like, these people really love me.
Yeah.
When you make a decision that may affect them in a way that they wouldn't prefer, and they still just like bless you and want what's good for you. Like, it can go both ways. So, and we've experienced both.
Recently,
We're
actually,
both,
we've been the Lord's really blessed us with wonderful
yeah.
friendships. And we have a few families that we're really close with who we thought we were gonna be moving almost an hour away from, and they were
Possibly, yeah.
yeah, and they all were just so supportive. And it's hard to convey the, like, deep fellowship that we have, but they were like, "I thought that that might happen too," and anyway, they just it was a gift to know that that was gonna be painful for them, but they wanted what was best for us and to see anyway,
Yep.
what a gift. That's not yeah.
So anyway, husbands take the lead, be the tip of the spear for your family and doing what's good.
He has been
And
yeah,
uh,
you say that you don't like the how did you phrase it earlier?
I don't
Conflict,
like dealing with other people's displeasure.
displeasure, but
Yeah.
I mean, we've had to deal with a lot of displeasure the
Mhm.
last, little while for different reasons, and you've done so well, like,
Thank you.
you've grown and
I'm
yeah.
glad by God's grace that I've done what needed to be done
Yeah.
and
I
didn't
feel
shy away
very
from it.
protected, and I feel very guided, and you're always so reasonable and wise and measured, and I get to I get to stand behind you,
As you
both to
should.
stand behind my husband, but
Yeah,
also I can hide a little sometimes if I have to.
that's right. As you
Just
should. You
so good.
shouldn't be out there taking
Yeah,
the
taking
taking
the
the
brunt.
shots.
You take the brunt of the force. It's been great.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I don't have to do that because yeah, it's hard. I
Well,
mean,
you're not supposed to have to.
yeah,
So you were made to do other things that I'm grateful you do that I don't have to.
yeah.
So
Well, I'm glad to do it.
very much a team dynamic
We are. High five.
as the Lord as the Lord ordained. So you have any other thoughts about family prioritizations in the
No,
family and walking that out?
no. Should we talk about just, I think probably people are wondering what changes are we talking about? Are we going to talk about specific changes for the ones that are committed and listening at this point? Because not everybody's listening to this point. Or no?
Uh, like,
Like what I'm going to be, what changes that we're going to be making probably after everything that's been going on with
sure,
merging.
if you want to go into it, I mean, you're gonna not be off YouTube forever.
No, I mean, yeah, so my educational videos are coming back soon, but
Yeah.
Lord willing, but we have decided to probably step back and not do it as frequent
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, I've taught margin and still strive to have margin, but there's just not been like I don't have wiggle room in our life and with a bunch of small children, I need to have some wiggle room and not be filled to the brim. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to be consistent. I've been able to not let we've had to whack some vines when that's how have you put it?
We've described it as like
The
the
garden analogy.
YouTube endeavor for Lauren is like a garden she's tending. And that garden needs to stay within its boundaries
Mm,
because of where it is in the priority hierarchy.
right.
Like if the garden's starting to get overgrown because of the amount of time it's taking and it's growing and sticking vines out into time with the children, me and Lauren's time together, or it's occupying her mind all the time. Like the weeds are overgrowing the garden boundaries, they need to get whacked back.
Yeah, and we've been really good at doing that really early if it started to creep into it, I
Mm-hmm.
think. But I think that we just need to prune, not necessarily just whack back the
Mm-hmm.
weeds, but prune so that hopefully it will be more fruitful
Right.
for our family and for anyone who's watching. Well, all that to say, because the YouTube stuff, it's great. I am so glad it's been a blessing for people. I wish I would have had this, but um, what I'm really excited about is being able to put everything together in the course that I have, but where I get to I'm building a membership
Mm-hmm.
that I am, yeah, really excited. I'm really excited about. I think I'm probably more excited about that definitely than YouTube because um, those are the people that I get to like. I just think that it's going to be more helpful because it's people are going to be walking through this journey and this transformation together. It's not the course, so it is. It's a still the method, but it is different. It's different, and it's a monthly membership, and I'm going to be in there doing monthly calls live, and it'll just be more laid back for me too. So I think that I'll be
More
able to,
laid back for you.
yeah,
And just based on what you've seen so far, you believe genuinely more fruitful and transformative
I think so. Yeah,
for the women who are involved.
Yeah, because they're not just watching random YouTube videos and
Right.
then doing it or not doing it. Um, they're in it and,
They're with
they're
people,
with people,
walking with
yeah,
people.
they're learning and doing. They're learning and doing with other people.
Yeah.
And I think that is just a great I honestly think that's a better use of my time too. So if I'm going to spend time in this ministry wanting to help other women, which I love doing, I want it to actually be fruitful and I want it to actually be effective and helpful. And so I'm just excited. I'm really excited about it. And I do think that like it's not going to be as I'm not going to have to be as heavily scripted and it's just going to be more laid back too. So I think that all
Like
that to
these
say,
podcasts.
take all that YouTube time and not fill it necessarily with the exact same amount of work, but use that time to have more enjoyable and fruitful work, I think,
Yeah.
and have more
You're
wiggle
very
room.
much looking forward to it.
I have been looking forward to it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And the reduction of YouTube stuff is not probably going to affect the podcast. We're still trying to do one of
yeah,
these a week.
because this is pretty easy for us too. We just get to come in here
We
and talk.
enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
And just
So,
talk about things we enjoy talking about together.
yeah.
It's a good time together as opposed to her being off by herself scripting stuff.
Yeah,
So
YouTube. I am so glad again that it's a blessing, and I don't foresee myself completely stopping. I think I want to keep going with it. It's just not going to be as frequent
yeah,
because I want to be more present with my family, which I have been. I think I want
you have no
more.
margin.
I want more.
More.
I want more time with them. I want more margin,
Amen.
and I don't want it to be filled to the brim. That's just not the life I want to live, and that's not the life that I'm teaching other people how to live either.
Yeah.
So like I said, lest I be disqualified,
Hmm.
I'm creating margin and I think it'll be enjoyable. And like I said, I am really excited about the community piece of it.
Yeah. And there'll be more details coming in that and
Hmm.
newsletter and other things like that. So if you're
Hmm.
not signed up for her newsletter,
Hmm.
get signed up. You'll get more details
I
that
would think that
way.
if you're listening, you're probably signed up at this
Probably,
point. Yeah.
but
You're committed if you're here at this point, but
you never know.
never
Still
know.
good to have a call to action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you guys, whoever's listening to this, you're the first to know.
Hmm.
Just a little preview into what's coming. I'm excited. And it's going to be, June 8th is the launch date, I think. Lord willing. We'll see. But that's the
Lord
plan.
willing, yes.
Don't quote me on it, but I'll let the email list know. So anyway.
Hmm.
Anything else, babe? Is there anything that you
No, I hope this has been helpful and a good conversation for people and that
Mhm.
many spouses learn to enjoy
Mhm.
dreaming together and talking about what they want out of life if they're not doing it already.
Mhm. And pulling back if you need to, like
Pulling
we
back
are.
if you need
Real
to,
time. Cheers.
pruning where you need to, reprioritizing where you need to,
Mhm.
going to the word, seeking God's wisdom prayerfully and diligently so you can see what he calls a blessing and you call that as well.
Because when you do, it's just a much more joyful way to live.
Hmm.
So anyway,
All right. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you again soon.
bye.